Hey Pokies, it's me Zippy and I'm back with another video. I am so sorry to y'all, I have officially lost my voice, it's confirmed, but I have a special video to make up for it in return. I have this idea for a while now, and this idea just came from pondering to myself, wondering, gosh, what went wrong? Where did the ball drop? And to answer that question, I'm making a new video today on the death of drill. And let's get started. So I know you're probably wondering, and you have about this question of like, what am I talking about? What is drill? What am I talking about right now? Good question. I'm not referring to construction. And unless you've been living under a rock for the past, I don't know, 5, 6 years, I hope you know what drill music is. We're talking about the music genre drill as a whole. And as your confirmation New Yorker, that made no sense. Or as your delegate, your confirmed representative New Yorker, which no one calls me at all, even my other friends. I'm here to go ahead and discuss with you what drill music is, where it came from, and how to end up feeling so miserably. So let's get into it. Drill music officially originated in Chicago, in what is the Oblaks, what is the territory mostly held by Gaines. And that was an area that has seen its fair share of violence and issues with, drugs and what have you. So not so different from the streets of London or the New York, as you'll see later. But with Chicago, we'll see an outburst of talent. People who came from these circumstances and made a name for themselves. People like King Von, Lil Durk, and of course Chief Keef, who really people see as the originator of this drill sound. This, we really don't care, guns in your face, kind of like, we're not here to mess around kind of attitude, and like, promoting the violence, as you'll see later. And I'm in no place to judge nobody right now when it comes to those kind of things. But I will say that this is a trend you'll see later on in the music, and that's something that goes from Chicago overseas, eventually to London, or we end up in the banks of London, and we end up talking to people like, or hearing from people like Tion Wayne, Russ Millions, RD, some sort of like kind of mainstream drill rappers, I would say, back in the UK for sure. Before you get to your Central C's, there were some people who were, and Skepta, there were some people who were up and coming for a while, and who still are dominant in this drill industry, so definitely not some lower names, but definitely people that you've probably heard of. If you heard of the Body remix, Body, that whole scene, like Coca-Cola. I can't rap. But that whole song, which got a feature from Bobby, who we'll talk about later. He's also a Brooklyn-born drill artist, or New York-born drill artist. But as you'll see, that New York drill had a huge influence on UK drill, which had a huge influence itself from Chicago drill. So this is all intertwined. And the themes that are prevalent in both genres, well, in each subgenre of Chicago, New York, London, trend over and come over. And as we'll see, as most people kind of quote it as, that the biggest drill star that we'll see coming out of the whole drill sound got most of his, if not almost all of his sounds and his beats from London. And who was that? It was nobody else but the legendary Pop Smoke. Now, Pop Smoke was known for a lot of things, but one thing he was known for sure was basically bringing the New York drill sound, and the drill sound as a whole, I would say, just to the masses. His 2 albums, one of them being posthumous, but I think there was 3, but for sure 2 of those albums, Meet the Woo, actually 3, Meet the Woo 2, and Forgive Me, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, were all albums that produced massive hits. And if you were in New York during this time, 2019, 2020, by the way, that was, let's not talk about the pandemic right now. But if you were alive during that time, I was in high school, but it was just where you had to be to get this music. It was just like a whole, New York was there, and I feel like I can't talk about the history of drill without talking about how much New York was lacking during the SoundCloud era. That was a huge era for most of the country, most of the world, if not. And we were just nowhere to be seen. They were just completely gone. And there was no one reproducing at first, and at all, pretty much, up until this era hit, up until Pop Smoke hit, and up until he got everyone going and getting sturdy on the street and in classrooms, and it was like, oh, is New York coming back? Like, period. So that was a whole thing that came up, and it kind of reinvented and reignited a whole new era for the city at large. It hadn't been seen since the time of Biggie. For sure, the biggest song from Pop was definitely Dior. That was a catchy, um, how do how do you say go-to song? But that was definitely a song you could dance to. A sturdy song, if you know what I mean. And even the video was just people getting sturdy in Brooklyn for like, I don't know, in the middle of the night, which is definitely what that happens, you know? Like, why not? And honestly, it was just a vibe. Like, you almost wanted to be there, you know? Almost like if you weren't from New York, you wanted to be in New York City. Like, and let me tell you, like, it was just a vibe. And of course, there were more songs. My personal favorite being For the Night with the Baby and Little Baby. That song, I don't know what it is about it, but the little, like, kind of like medieval flute kind of thing going on there is just like diabolical. Like, it fits so well with the arrangement of the rest of the song, and you would never expect that for like a rap song. That's one of my favorite songs from him. Of course, he had some collabs with Little TJ, including Mood Swings. I think What You Know About Love, that's one of the collab he had. He had a collab with, I know for sure it was A Bug with the Hoodie. Also, those two, A Bug with the Hoodie and Little TJ, I don't know what happened. That could be a whole other video on what happened to those two. But they were from different eras, and they kind of had this similar fate in a way. Little TJ a lot faster than I expected. The drop off for sure. But Hello was a good song. Melanin was a good song too, which is a contrast, I know. And just the Woo, which had 50 on it. I think it had Rick Rubin, Rick Ross, no, Roddy Ricch, excuse me. And Invincible got me like in a gym kind of mood. And Welcome to the Party was like a Nicki collab. And that was the first time you'll see like a New York, or not New York female artist, but that's the first time you'll see like a female artist hop on a drill collab, I think, as a feature. And of course, Element. I mean, I've just named about like 8 or 10 songs that off the radar came off, and I just remember feeling like the way you had to be there in 2020 to realize just how people mourn this man, because it was just like we had a pandemic starting in February, I think it was, and then now we had the loss of this treasured kind of like musician, right? This icon in a way, and he was gone, and so people had questions about where the genre is gonna go after a while because here's our leading man, and we don't have a show without him. So what are we gonna do now? That was the biggest question. I think people tried, and they've tried up till date. I can name a lot of people who tried and failed to live up to the plate. And at least many people wondering, I hope they've been in the video, honestly wonder too, what could have drill been with Pop Smoke? Like, what would it have been like? Would it have popped up even more? Would it have been more mainstream? Would it have not been relegated to just a few years longevity? Would it have been like something bigger? Who knows? But it's just kind of those things where it's like we'll never really know for sure. I think that when Pop passed away, that really left the challenge up to find who is the heir to the throne, who is the next up and coming artist. And I think people in New York got a little bit, I don't want to say desperate, but people were looking for it in a rush. You know, you're like, we had this wide gap of just missing talent. Overnight, he was gone. Tragically, even. It was a really sad way to go out. 4 teenage boys ambushed him at an Airbnb in California. You know, there was a whole thing of him publishing his address online, and then it just was too late, you know, to act by the time he found out, and he learned about his management. It was just a whole thing, and if you're from New York, you know this story by heart. I don't have to tell you. But, that was sad, and there was a scramble right afterwards to find somebody new, and that came in many different ways. I remember hearing from someone in particular, we call him Favi back where I'm from, but Favi Florin, singing the song City of Gods, which is the one that played, oh my god, non-stop that year. I think it was 2022 when that song was playing. Pandemic New York, we couldn't go outside. We weren't allowed to, okay? I know people in Florida, whatever, they say, oh, we're allowed to go outside. We were not allowed to step outside of our homes. Okay, we had to wear a mask if we did, which isn't asking for too much, but still, people probably couldn't do that at the least either. So that was a whole thing that happened, and it just recently ended. But we gotta remember, this song, Fabi reached out and said, Pop was the king of New York, now I'm not gonna say it, but now I'm the man in charge, is what he's been trying to say. And that, to me, led me to believe that, okay, now Fabio Foreign is gonna be up next. And for a while, it seemed like he was tracking that way. I mean, it really did. He had collabs with lots of people, actually. I think he's part of the group that, whether you like it or not, he made drill pretty mainstream. He brought a lot of features and collabs. Say what you want about features and collabs, but you gotta admit, public could be living in, complete no knowledge of drill, and y'all would be thinking, why not? Well, you have to have collabs from big time artists. The previous song I just mentioned, actually, City of Gods, had a Alicia Keys feature, and also had a Kanye West feature. Supposed to have Jay-Z on the track, but I guess he didn't have the time for it because of scheduling conflicts. Not like he didn't have the time for it, I'm just saying like there was some sort of scheduling thing going on there. That's what I read. Plus we had Not in the Mood, which is a song with K-Flock, who I will mention very soon, and also with Little TJ, who as I mentioned before. Honestly, I found that We Go Out was a song that was really forgettable. I didn't like it at all. Bobby kind of saved the song, and nothing, because I love Nicki, but that song just wasn't it for me, especially with the repetition of it. Not in the Mood was a good song though. That was a classic drill song. If you had to show someone, like, I know I just stammered crazy there. If you want to show someone like a not generic, maybe that's the word people might use, but like just a drill song, like a sample of what a drill song is, I would show them that. Pop Smoke does it best too. I think generic with Pop Smoke though, but this song does it best when it comes to like kind of showing you the drill sound as it's meant to be. Everyone had great verses in that song. I just absolutely treasured it. And then I think people before I mentioned that part though, there was an era where he had also collabs with, I think it was Queen Naija, let me not, and of course Coyle Ray. And Coyle Ray had I don't know what happened to her career. It's been a video for another time. But as you can see, there's a bunch of collabs, bunch of features going around. This man is like hitting the check marks when it comes to like every big name celebrity or indie, even kind of R&B-ish, kind of like up and coming artists, like Koi and Naija. It's kind of interesting to see that, and there's some pretty polished people out there in the industry. So you'd think this man would have a beautiful career, but you see that at some point the gears stop gearing or whatever. Now I'm not gonna go ahead and put my cards down and say Fabi's done. He is 31 or 32 years old now, and as you probably don't know, or maybe you do know, drill is a young man's game. I mean, later we'll talk about the people that were 14 and 16 that were in the show back in the day. I mean, they were barely legal, and they were just going ahead and talking about ripping off apart. Surprisingly, before we get to that part of the downfall of Fabi, and that's still going on, so I can't even say for certain it's stopped, but I'm giving him a redemption arc. I'm giving him that anime Goku, Vegeta redemption arc opportunity, because anyone can come back from. I don't think he's fallen hard enough. I mean, the man has money, he's secure, he has the means to support himself, and he's not dropped from his label, I don't think. So if it was the case, I think we'd be talking about Happy for Crumbs right now. But he's not making some. He's made say some desperate moves, but one of them I'll say that he did pretty good on was To the Moon, which is a Sam Tompkins, Bruno Mars remix with Junior Choi on it, who I haven't heard from since that song, by the way. There's a bunch of UK drill rappers hopping on a song together, and Fabi was the intro. Honestly, I liked his verse. It was short, it was sweet, but I like that Fabi is what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't know, when he has depth and emotional guard is kind of down. And naturally, of course, Big Drip is probably his biggest hit up to date. It's from 2020, but it's definitely 5 years later, one of his biggest, most catchiest songs still. And then you have Why Would I, which I also think is a good song. But the reason why I'm just kind of taking a look is that I'm just like, wow, this man had so much potential. He came up late, in the game. And he's faded now, and I feel like now people have clowned him a lot more online, and I don't give a hell about online. I really don't care about online banter. His most recent song actually is a diss song, apparently, at Black Boy Max, who is what I don't know what this is about anymore. He's a streamer like DDG or like Dennis Duke or I don't even know, or Mr. Kaisana himself. But these are all streamers, and apparently Black Boy also produces music, which is really cool, I think, because most of these people, I don't know if this is a full-time gig or what, but I think it's too cool to have some creative endeavors like that. And also producing music is not easy. I've tried, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I have friends to do it too. So credit to him for having two gigs at once. And if you have one gig at once, keep doing that. You know, good for you. I'm just saying that, like, it's impressive, you know, to have multiple talents, a renaissance person, whatever. I don't know. Catch my drift. What I'm saying is that he got majorly, I guess, critical reception from people, I guess, for that. Not crazy, just internet banter, but still. Then, of course, you have the whole thing with Lil Mabu, who is someone that, honestly, ever since he crashed out, that's when I noticed that's when drill crashed out. It's like there was a trend. He hopped onto the trend naturally, like anybody would. People were mad, why is this kid from Manhattan, the Upper East Side, doing so prominently in drill, which is like a kind of a, you know, it's not upper class kind of music. It's definitely a music from, you know, the hood. You know, it's rough out here. And we gotta be honest with ourselves where the music came from. Let's just keep it real, keep it 100. But people, I think, really kind of distanced themselves, or there were people that were upset that Favi collaborated with Mabu, and I think it was a little bit too early to do that because people were saying that he was too grown for that. Or not even that he was too grown, but he was so mature in his career to do that, while most people would do that while they're early in their career. And I agree with that sentiment too. I mean, like, the song wasn't bad though. I'll take it. It's actually an entertaining song, and honestly, anyone who's looking at Lil Mabu songs critically needs to calm down a bit because it's not meant to be taken seriously. It's a fun having songs like the Krishan Rock song that he had. I mean, it was there one moment, it got the next, culturally significant, but I think that's one thing people need to realize is that, like, it's a song that, kind of like a TikTok song, I guess, made for the viral moments and for the virality, if that's a word. And pretty much it was gone soon too. But I think that shouldn't be something to criticize Bobby for. Like, oh man, like you're here, you know, making music when you're an old man, like fun music, viral music. It's like, okay, I mean, I'll stop and I don't like the man's making money. Period. Is he the new piece of drill though? I don't know if he can take that throne from pop. The respect, commanding all of that, and also the like I said, the 8 titles of work are like not titles of work, but songs. Like in this, like easily, and the 3 consistent albums. Like you need to have all 5 you have as Bible so far, and Pain and Love too. He needs to have some more titles just to get people talking more about him and keep the ball on with his career. And I think a really another good song that Fabio had released recently was Jason's Plan. I think that encapsulated a good form of storytelling for Favi because I think that's what rap is about, storytelling and telling stories. At its heart, that Sugar Hill Gang, you know, when it comes to African Bambaataa, you know, hip hop is really about telling stories. Whether it's from the streets, whether it's about, you know, what happens in the streets, whether, you know, just in the home. I think that's what it really promotes. And for me, that was a good song, but I don't know like where it landed commercially, mainstream wise. But I thought that was a good song. But as we'll see later, like I think this is and the reason why I talk about Bobby so much is that he really is the one that put me on to drill. You know, after that whole pop, you know, passing away, it was really just kind of him that I kind of looked up to as like the mainstream guy at the moment. And as you'll see, it isn't just a case of Brooklyn though. It's definitely a case, if you know New York, you know there's 2 boroughs that really come when it comes to music and rap. And that is Brooklyn and the Bronx. Let's go straight to the Bronx. So now we're on to none other than K Flack, KK, other known as Flacka, Big um, let me not. But this guy has been in prison for a minute now because he murdered somebody in broad daylight. And let's forget about that for a moment. let's go to the music because that's a whole another issue. But I wanted to mention that just because this is why there's a hiatus that's been going on. If you look up K-Fox music, you'll see that literally his last releases came from like 4 years ago. 2021 with the DOA tape and the DOA tape care package. So this is like really like this is like people have graduated since then. Like like an Olympic World Cup has happened since then. You know what I mean? Like it's been a lot. But I think the song that really put on the map, for me at least, that I think I can swear like really like brought him to my attention was Is You Ready? Because that was a song that was just like not even that's not generic drill. It's just like a hard, too hard, extra hard drill song. That kind of like also encapsulate the gritty Bronx sound that was coming up at the time and that was emerging in that scene. And I think if you look at Clay Fox's work as a whole, there's a trend where he's going and showcasing the Bronx in like this really like New York gritty way. And I think that just realizing that most of these songs came out the very same year in 2021, you could argue that was the peak era, although I would say I was kind of when the fruits were kind of growing at the time, like we were getting somewhere. I'd be honest with you, 2019, 2020, 2020 was kind of, the end of pop, but that whole era was definitely pop's era right there. And even after, posthumously, his songs were still getting played a ton, especially in the city. 2021, Bronx drill kind of came up, like it really did. And I think 2022 was kind of a fight between Bronx and Brooklyn. We'll find out really who won. But, and then you see 2023, and that was kind of a Ice Spice's year and other collectives like 41's year. And people got, I guess when it hit like the mainstream stat, it went from like underground to like, okay, now we've made a name for ourselves. Now we're kind of like, not just New York City, we're kind of like mainstream. We're worldwide almost. And if not, obviously past that continental unit. And then, as you can see, 2024, 2025, 2024 wasn't a bad year, but I'm seeing this year just how much drill really fell off because there really are no new acts anymore. The same acts kind of aren't performing, or they're either in prison or they've been killed, unfortunately. And a lot of them just release other stuff that seems to be non-drill nowadays. And I've heard some of the stuff, and I'm just like, this is a complete 180 from what y'all making 2 years ago, but okay. So people are kind of like stripped away from the drill sound, and we'll see later on like why that could be and why that is, and which arcs have kind of kept it up with it. And let's see. Hopefully, we can make some predictions on where they'll be going. But back to the Kevin Perez. So if Is You Ready didn't cement K-Funk as a permanent mainstay in the drill movement and the drill scene, because I want to say it was a movement. I want to say it was like something that was kind of boots on the ground, kind of like, this is something that wasn't some sort of commercial industry plan. Now, if you want to know something that actually introduced me to drill, like the very, very first song before Fabio kind of cemented the drill sound for me, it was definitely Shake It with Cardi, Dougie B, and Boy 300. That was a song I heard like April 2022, so it came out a little bit like, it came on the radio a little bit late or something. I'm not really sure what that was about. But it was definitely like that video was fun. It was just like a vibe. It was just like, you wanted to be there. It made getting sturdy and the whole drill theme look fun. And I think it's kind of what made it appeal to the masses. I think K-Pop had a big part to play in that, was making it look like it was just like your neighborhood, brothers and your and kids from the hood, and just kind of making it seem like, I don't want to say like there's some songs where it's like, like this is heavy, this is hard hitting, but there's some songs where it's kind of like partying kind of songs and whatever, like Shake It, and then I don't even know, honestly, like a party song, but just the vibes and everything, like you can see yourself getting down with these folk, and I think for young people and for Gen Z, because Gen Alpha, y'all weren't there, okay, period, y'all weren't there. But for us people, us grown folk at the time, because we were still growing, but for us, it was definitely something that was kind of like, oh my gosh. And you see things like PSA was like a huge song too, which kind of was like, if you think Everybody Was Gritty, that one was just like in your face gritty. My favorite ones, actually, to be honest with you, probably Being Honest and Dealership. Being Honest is just like sentimental. Like it just is one of those storytelling. The Jason Plans is a storytelling song, which honestly doesn't come to this level whatsoever. But Being Honest definitely comes on the best level of. And that shows you a little bit the difference between Favi and K Flock in terms of maybe like not delivery but substance. But Being Honest is definitely some of those songs that you heard, and you were like, that's kind of emotional from a drill artist, and I didn't really hear that a lot. The drill. I don't know if it was a UK sound or beats that he was using, but whatever they were, I almost feel guaranteed to say they were, but they weren't. They were mostly people like Cosfinger, Elvis, Young Mads, people like those who were producers in the. Some of them are UK producers, but most of them are producing for New York artists, so that's kind of like subjective. And then, of course, again, Not in the Mood with TJ and Favi. Brotherly Love came out. There's two versions of that song, and for me, I like the second version a lot better than the first one, I'll be honest with you. The second one is just like a lot more fun to me. I played that song too many times for 2023 too, so that's I have it stuck in my head. Op Spotter is another one that I really enjoyed. That was with his freaking collaborator, Uzbi Levy. And mind you, these are all games. So this is the DOA tape. DOA means Dead on the Bible. That's one of the games that they were beefing with. Was who I'll get to later, the Osama brothers. And no, I don't mean like Osama as in like Bin Laden. I just mean that in terms of the group name, because y'all be choosing the craziest names out here. But anyway, back to the video. Op Spotter was a good song. And honestly, all his songs are really good. And I think I've named just about all the ones I really like, and those are just about all his discography. I mean, he doesn't have many songs since that time. He hasn't put out really new music. He's in jail, so if you hear it, it's mostly just snippets from his prison recordings that somehow they managed to shuffle in. I don't know. I wonder how that works. I'm just always curious about how that stuff works. I don't know how people get to record music from jail. I mean, that's honestly, I didn't know they have phones in jail. Y'all, like, what's going on? But that's a whole topic for another video. So moving on to the Summer Brothers, who are basically no longer a collective unit as we know it. One of them passed away. He was killed on the subway at 14 years old, unfortunately, and that was a whole. And if you ask anybody about drill, that's a whole thing, because that's where the Naughty Bop came from, of course. That's where we had that whole dance and poking my hips kind of thing come from, because that was due to the death of Naughty Osama, and he got stabbed at a subway station, unfortunately. And these kids are young. Let me not understate just how young these people are. So a lot of them, the kids were like 14, 15 coming up, and they were just out of like just entering high school, straight out of middle school, and they were really just making songs about like promoting the violence, and a lot of it really did happen. People were actually practicing what they preached, and it was really crazy. Not to say that they deserve it, not to say that that's what it comes with the game, but it's brutal out there. And unfortunately, some people just get thrown a really bad hand. And that happened to, not only did one happen to Naughty, but also it's about what happened to his other friend and freaking collaborator, Eat Baby. Also passed away tragically from suicide. And that was a whole other thing that many people in drill are so, I don't even know how to describe it, so venomous. And it's so like, when someone passes away, they're making fun of you. I'll just put it like that. When someone passes away from whatever reason, they're dissing their dad ops, and they are really going at them. And it's kind of like a ridicule thing. It's like we got to get under your skin and to show that we don't play, even if they didn't even have any issue with. Because, like, mind you, these are gangs. These are people that are involved in, gangs and street, life. And so it's going to be a lot of killings and a lot of shootings, and people get caught up in that, unfortunately. I'm not here to go ahead and talk about New York City, politics and criminal activity. I'm not the NYPD. It's not my job. But I can just say for a fact that they speak on what really happens, what really goes through. But back to the music though. The last song I really heard from Dee, which kind of like was a mainstream, or supposed to be a mainstream song, was really just Up Now. Again, Coi Leray collaborated with him. Not like again, but like this is the first time they collaborated. But of course, she seems to love drill, just like Asian doll loves drill as well. She's made a lot of Asian. She's made a lot of what's it called? Like One Mic. She's been on there. She's I don't know. She's been on the radar, which is two drill shows, not shows, but like that on the radar. Hazard Lights and One Mic are all like freestyle opportunities for the artist. In my mind, definitely Hazard Lights is not freestyling. In my opinion, that's not what freestyling. Because y'all click the video and then it's like different shots, and it's like, okay, that's not freestyling, but okay. And you had a mic in front of you the whole time. But no, I think the other ones showcase it a little bit better. But I do like the vibes of One Mic and Hazard Lights, I mean, and One Mic and what's it called? Of course, on the radar are platforms to showcase, the new artists that are emerging and upcoming. And so, just about every drill artist you can name has been there. Even some non-drill artists like Asian who try to put their foot in drill, or I think it was Mellow Bucks. I think it was, if I'm not wrong, who also put a drill song out. There was a time when that was the trend, and now I'm seeing it ain't the trend no more. So, but I don't think I can mention Little Osama, nice. Didi Osama, forgive me, without mentioning Little Mob, like I mixed the two names together. Those two have a lot of collaborations, one of them being Throw, and I really feel like I think the best song from this collective honestly was E for N, Everything for Naughty, because it had a tribute for Naughty and Nita. And say what you will, but come on, these are kids, and I really feel like that was a lot of hurt that they were showing, but it was done in a way that was kind of like, it didn't get like it was like rest in peace, but like like we'll still stick up for you. You know what I mean? And Little Mabu, I just feel like when it came to him and Didi's collaborations, I kind of feel like that was a whole thing. I feel like no one really asked for that, and we just got it over and over and over again. Say what you will. I want to hear your opinions too in the comments, but I just feel like that was kind of like thrown in our face a lot. I mean, I was on Instagram and TikTok at that time. Not TikTok, but Instagram. And Little Mabu was viral. He was just like trolling people left and right. And that's why I'm just like, well, he's a young up-and-coming drill artist, Didi, right? And it's like, I just don't know. Like, if I Google Didi Osama, I only find his Apple Music page. But if I Google Little Mabu, I find a Wikipedia page, I find all this stuff. And he's not a serious drill artist. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, is this for real, and like is someone being used, is someone being taken advantage of for their career and whatever their promise, not like their promising career. So I just don't get it, and I just feel like that was a whole thing. But of course we also have Nadi, who also was a good, if not, I'm not gonna say better rapper, but he also was a whole rapper in his right, and before he died, he passed away. He also collaborated with another artist that was on the whole. These two are from Harlem, so my block. I'm sorry, I'm not biased. I'm just saying that right now because it's from Harlem, so you gotta rep. But Sugar Hill Dida, I mentioned that because Sugar Hill is just like a hop and a scotch for me. And I used to go there to get ice cream all the time at the Sugar Hill Ice Cream Creamery. Oh my god, memories. Oh, hi cute. But literally, I remember going ahead and finding out, oh, Sugar Hill's from Sugar Hill, that makes sense. But those two collaborated a lot. And I think the one Sugar Hill song that was most recently played was like last year. And it was a song he had with Star Bands, which was like, well, he had Let Her Go, Best had a song with Star Bands. That was also pretty popular. And honestly, that was kind of on replay for me a little bit too. It was called My Baby, actually, and that was kind of like a silver sleeper, I guess, I feel like, in my opinion, that with Didi and Sugar Hill, I mean, they're both so young, but the genre is dying. If anyone's gonna be completely honest, if you're from New York or not, if you're from New York, I would think you know that drill is really not the way it used to be anymore. And collabs with drill rappers, non-drill rappers, even Star Bands, I don't think of her as a drill rapper necessarily, but people have been really
not listening to drill or not. I just feel like we've come a little bit ways. I think the wave really is like plug in a beat, that spin kind of music. Like that whole fast paced Sonic the Hedgehog like type of music. I don't even know how to describe it. No hate, no shade. Trust me, I like the music too. It's been minutes since I heard it though, because I don't listen to it as much as I used to. Honestly, it just came out like this year as a trend, so that's kind of like a whole thing. But I've noticed it's gotten some really big, like and also some like it's called jerk, I guess, a hood trap, whatever. That seems to be the new wave from what I'm seeing from a lot of people, including our next group, which I'll move on to. But our next group is kind of a whole, it's a very much like a normie. It's like what the future of drill rests on their shoulders. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest. So I say what I will about drill, but it really comes down to what these folk do in the next couple of moves they make. That is a 41 collective. So unless you've been spinning a rock for the past 2, 3 years, you probably have heard of the group 41K or 4100. This is a group straight out Brooklyn. They are consisting of the members Tata, Jen Carter, and Cal Rich. And honestly, this isn't one group where I can say for certain that everyone has an individuality that shines and that shows. Like, it's like, they're one of my favorite groups because, like, honestly, you feel that it's not half-hearted from any of the members. It's definitely, like, some real work they're putting in, real lyricism, real delivery, real flow. You can just hear it, you can feel it, it's magnetic, and I think that's why they got signed so early. So 41 has collabed with a bunch of top billing big name artists ever since they really come out, and they've gotten only better since then. Honestly, they've gotten a lot of success. One of them most recently being Or What with Annalie Choppa, which straight out of the gate is like an addictive, fun song, and that was TikTok trending for a while now, and we live in 2025. So TikTok trending means what's currently trending. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Whether you use TikTok or don't like it or whatever, because I don't use it, I don't like it. But you gotta admit, TikTok is the new avenue. It's the new way of things. And if you blow up on TikTok, you're guaranteed to blow up in other ways too. Hopefully, I mean, but you do get some good money and some good mainstream attention for sure from just one song alone. I mean, I'm pretty sure that people like that in the past from those COVID songs have done pretty good for themselves. I'm talking about A B C D E F U and all those kind of songs and the deathbed and all that stuff. That's for another video, but for sure I can tell they have some good money in their pocket. But for one album, from one, they even collabed with Pac Boy Max, as I mentioned earlier, on their song "Presidential." It's honestly a really interesting song dynamically. I feel like that's one of those songs where like it'll kind of gives you an idea or a sense or a trend of where drill is going. Like this before I mentioned the jerk hood trap sound. Black Boy's very much into that kind of like I wouldn't say exactly net spend, but his stuff definitely trends plug in and beat. And the collab with him is kind of like a catalyst moment I feel like for the movement and for the drill sound. And honestly, from it was before, not even then, they were collabing with MC Vert. There was a couple songs they collabed with him on. One of them being most famous, Bet, which is one of the songs of the summer, I swear. 2023, that song came out, I believe, and it was super like, it was everywhere. And I'm pretty sure if you hit the clubs in that time, which I wasn't, but if you did, then you probably would have heard the song in the clubs too, because I imagine in Miami people are getting into that too. Um, I mean, that was one of those songs where it's just a club banger, I feel like, and it was just like something you had to like rock your hips to and dance to and have a good time too. Like just the music promoted that. And one of their first kind of like mainstream songs, if I'm being completely honest, was at a Sexy Red feature on their song. Opened for her on tour as well. And that was a big moment to like have them be in the mainstream. I like that because to be honest, I think they took the whole pop and I think what pop could have done and the whole idea. Pop was doing so much already, but like what could have been and what could have been for Brooklyn, and they took that and they went with it. And they never looked back. I think that's kind of like ingenious to me, honestly. Their second like MC Vert collaboration is also a good song that I actually like a lot, which is "Hate the Real." That song, the trumpets, yo, it goes as hard as the flutes were going in the other song I mentioned before, that Pop Smoke song for the night. sometimes with drill, like the instrumental just be hitting sometimes, and you just or do you like be hearing the first couple of like seconds of the instrumentals, and you're like, oh, I know it's gonna be a good song. That's how you already know. And for me, another good song I liked from them was Stomp Stomp. That came out 2023. I think all these songs came out in the same year. Good year for them. Still pretty much even. I mean, honestly, I was under the impression since this era, 2 years ago, that that's the one like Bent was their best. Not because they couldn't do better, but because I was like, this is really a lot in a short amount of time of progress. And I know they've been making music probably for a minute, but I found out they've been making projects and band up together during the pandemic. That's how they kind of started the group. So this is pretty recent, to be honest with you. And they're both about like they're all young. They're about my age as well. And so for me, I heard about Stomp Stomp. I'm just like, can it get any better than this with Ben? You know what I mean? Like in all these songs, like, but the collabs keep coming, and I don't think they're going up from here. Honestly, I can't see them going any worse because the only concern is that is it a lot too much? But I think they can handle it. I think they can handle it, especially because they're handling this rapid rise that's going on. It's accelerating immediately, and so far it smells like they keep their head, stable, whatever, and to the ground. I think they should be good. They should be good. But Stomp Stomp was another song that I had on repeat a lot. It was so much fun. It was a Soulja Boy sample. I mean, drill. If you know anything about drill of samples. I mentioned one song that was an Akon sample. That whole "Shake It" with Cardi B was an Akon sample that came out of nowhere. I mean, the drill producers just transform anything. Anything you want can be sampled and turned into a whole other song. A collab with Favi called Get Daddy. That's another collab with Favi that was also called Notice Me, which is another song that was a collab with Favi. And of course, Too Fun with French Montana. So you see a trend. There's a bunch of collabs here. But also, mind you, every artist has released individual music under their own name as well, such as Jen Carter's Jen, which was who was it, Dulio or Roscoe G or, no, it was somebody who, J for Click, not J Cookin, J for Clicks or something like that, like, not J.B, that's 41, but it was somebody who was just saying Jen on live stream, and they turned that into a sample. They just turn everything from, they turn everything from a sample into an actual beat. And so I could just be talking, they would take my words, and then they would take that into a beat or something like that. So who knows? But I think I appreciate that, the fact that they do their own solo projects as well as their own group projects as well as their own collabs. Those are all separate entities with all very different things, but like, it's part of what makes you an artist. Having these features, and especially rap, especially. Not even you don't even need that in pop, but having also these like under your belt, your own like musical like aspirations, goals, and your own solo projects, or else what do you got to show for it? And I think everyone does good. I can now go ahead and say, well, I mean, I'll just say I really like Jen's lyricism a lot, and I love Kyle's I love Kyle's flow, and I love Tata's delivery. I think that's what I would say. I would just say it like that. Like, it's just like everyone has their unique attributes, and they all shine through. My favorite has to be Jen Carter, though, for sure. Maybe because she's a girl like me. No, I'm just kidding. But because she really just goes ahead and, like, doesn't never drop the ball. Like, it's consistency, too, from what I've heard from their music, which is a lot in the past 2 years. Instead of releasing, since their biggest song, not the biggest song that kind of put them on the map was See Red, because that's when my people, like, my friends heard about them, or like found out about them, and then from that point on, it became to like different songs like Deuce and what have you. I like DM with D-Bells, honestly, and so there were so many good songs that we had. I feel like they're kind of this unstoppable force right now, and that they can really reach a lot of heights because they really maximize their potential a lot already from just being some young kids from Brooklyn. And I see them just going far, to be honest. Like, I don't see much happening whereby, if they do break up, I just still see them being successful, regardless. I worry for Tata a bit just because he seems to be in the background a little bit more nowadays than before. That wasn't always the case, I don't think. So I just feel like maybe, when it comes to projects, he needs to just, keep remaining, at the forefront, because I think he is the one who kind of, well, if the lyrics are right, he kind of built the whole, team, according to him. But who knows? I'm just saying that I think the team has a really good dynamic as it is. And I think even if they were to go ahead and go separate ways, they'd still be okay, you know. But now, as it's looking, they're still decent at like maintaining that cohesiveness, and that's gonna help them a lot. Cause like, if you know anything about rap collectives and rap groups, I mean, we've seen it so many times before. They really just end up, falling apart. You have each other, like what happened with Gunna and YSL and Young Thug, and they're just like always. That was the most recent, You have Eminem's rap group. You have people like I don't even know, like that 50s rap group. I mean, Terror Squad. Where are they now? Is the question. And like, I'll say those people are like 8 people, whatever, in a group. But this is like a little bit more manageable because it's only three people. And I think if they can just keep going with it, they can just reach a lot and keep doing a lot this year and forward. I think adapting different styles and versatility is good because when I see them, the drill sound, honestly to God, is not here to stay. It never was meant to stay. Like SoundCloud rap happened in 2017, 18, 19, back in high school, or middle school for a lot of us. And I don't even know, like, what. A lot of them haven't lost relevance. I'm not going to say people have lost relevance. Chippy Red, Uzi, who else? There's a lot of people who died, Lil Peep, Juice, and X. But the ones who are, yeah, because that's the thing, all of them died. So that's what I'll say is, all of them had overdoses, unfortunately. So that's kind of the reason why a lot of this ended, this streaming, SoundCloud era of streaming. But look at their posthumous sales. I think that era still has a lot to give. And if drill gets people nostalgic in a couple years, well, so be it. I mean, that'll be definitely one of the days I'll be like, wow, I'm old. If drill makes people nostalgic for the good days being the pandemic in New York City, then that's where we know we've come to a halt. That's how you know we've gone too far, in my opinion. But yeah, let's go on to the girlies now. So Ice Spice had a really fast come up, if I'm being completely honest. That was quick. She went ahead and started making music around 2020 when she was in college at SUNY Plattsburgh. She was a producer at USA there. And from there, she really went ahead and started this underground drill movement going on with, not movement, but this underground drill sound that she was doing, perfecting. But it was more about, it wasn't your regular run-of-the-mill drill. It was definitely like, I don't know how you even say it. Like a sexy drill, like a definitely like, my body is nice and I'm gonna show it off, and I'm gonna have the guys gooning over me, and not in a pick me way, but take it how you will, But that's how I kind of saw it. It was definitely a whole new direction. Drill, we know what drill's about already. I've mentioned that in terms of farm, I repeat myself, but drill is very much different, might I add, from the lyrics and topics that Ice has. And she started out with the Believe Freestyle was like the number one song, or not my number one, but the first song I remember kind of like getting from her was that song, and that was a song that was kind of like run of the mill freestyle, kind of like just like it reminded me of those, like, I don't know, those songs from like that girls would sing back in the day. Even the cover of the art is just kind of like okay, but it kind of reminds me of those kind of songs, like. But then you can see it's a drill sound, like it's a song that you maybe find another female artist singing. But because it's a drill sound, it made her sound so different, and I think that really helped her. Drill was just up and coming. But then you have a song like Munch, which comes out, and eventually that's when everything blew up for her. Especially having a Roll Star hip hop video. The way I was introduced to her was definitely through Munch. My friend, also from New York, put me on to her. But she's from upstate New York, so actually I didn't even know that upstate, like, listened to drill like that. But no, they be going up there to perform and everything, but she saw a video of Ice Spice, and I was like, she showed us, and I was like, this is actually pretty good. Like, this is kind of good. This is actually, I'm not gonna say talent, but it's kind of a vibe. It's different. And here it's a girl rapping too, and she's kind of rapping about like finessing herself and kind of like not herself off, but the guys, and rapping about. Kind of like just doing her thing, and like it's kind of like gritty in a little way too, without being too much. It's like a measured amount of grittiness, I would say, and it all came together just to make this kind of really eclectic song that was kind of like played the whole. I heard it in the fall, but I know that was played definitely in the summer in the Bronx for sure, And it was just one of those scenes, that moment that blew up, you know, like immediately blew up. From that point on, she had a bunch of songs, and I think the peak era for her was her Like album, or her EP actually. She had In Her Mood, which is a good song. She also had Boy's a Liar. In Her Mood was a song that was like played on everyone's Instagram stories. Like, people needed to stop. Come on, because I was using it too. Wait, it was just like one of those I feel good about myself, period, kind of songs. That was a slap. She also had a song like Bikini Bottom, which is also something that was like, okay, like actually I enjoyed that song. The sample was from SpongeBob. It's literally called Bikini Bottom. And it was like a fun song. Everything kind of felt fun, upbeat, like, and like you're a baddie. The whole baddie aesthetic, the whole baddie movement was coming up, and that was what it is. And I think it's still around, but has it died down is a whole other video. I've seen some videos talking about that too. I'm just like, well, that's a whole conversation we could have, potentially. I also had Gangsta Boo with Little TJ. So there's a bunch of different songs that she had and that she was releasing. And of course, she had a bunch of other ones, like I can keep listing: Name of Love, Euphoric, No Clarity. But those are the songs that for me I really liked. And of course, the one I mentioned before was her On the Radar. But yeah, there were some really good songs out here. And then we get to 2023, or summer of 2023, and then she releases Deli. Now Deli was just like that moment. Like, if you didn't know Ice Spice, then come on. If you didn't know her through Munch or the whole spring 2023 summer, I mean, I think you were living under a rock for sure. But if you didn't know her through Deli, then were you deaf, or like were your ears plugged? Because y'all had to hear that song at some point. If you were in New York, that was a must. I was gonna say Bet and Deli were the top two played songs, and of course you had your run-of-the-mill nostalgic pop smoke song playing in the background too. Not in the background, but you know, that was kind of like how we surged up into drill, and that was a trend. And so when it came to Deli, that song was just like on everyone's. I mean, I remember that even the next year in 2024, I remember playing that song, the remix with Pop and Nicki, which is like a fan-made remix. But if you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know. But that song didn't even need a remix or anything. It had people hopping on it and doing their own freestyle. I saw a lot of people trying to do their own freestyle. Like, even Tata was trying to do one too. Honestly, they came out pretty well, and just the beat. Also, let's give some respect and some, you know, awards to her producer Riot, cause like, hello, her producer made some crazy instrumentals for this girl, and that I think you should get more respect. And hopefully, I know Ice Ice's career. Okay, we'll talk about that later in a bit, but this man deserves his flowers. I mean, because Riot definitely knows what he's talking about and what he's doing when it comes to making some good, like, drill beats and, like, something that's, like, addictive and, like, dopamine inducing or rushing, or I don't know what the word is. But you get the flow, you get the flow. And the marketing strategies were really working on her because she had the body, she had the baddie aesthetic, she had the look to her, she was a pretty girl. She still is. But, I mean, she just had this thing about her, it's kind of like it factor, and everything kind of came together. She had the male gaze on her, and it was super, like, females wanted to be her, guys wanted to date her and be with her. It was, like, the perfect combination. Plus, she twerked a lot, so that got her a lot of male fans, if we're being honest. Let's be honest. Let's be completely honest, guys. Don't be hiding now, because we all know y'all were here for only one reason, too. But not only that, for girls, she spit bars. You know, for the rest of us, she actually spit some bars. And then as that happened, we saw that she had an amazing collab. She had Karma with Taylor Swift. She had Barbie World and Princess Diana with Nicki Minaj from the Barbie album. And she also had the last one of the biggest collabs I want to say actually was like the first one I think was Boys a Liar Part 2 with Pink Panthers. And you can see it's funny because the direction of Pink Panther's career has only skyrocketed. I think one of her albums just came out the other day and it was like super. It was just doing great on YouTube Music, at least from what I saw trending was. And you see like Ice Spice in her career. We'll talk about it later, but you'll eventually see there was a decline. And the following year, she released her album Y2K. Before that, she released "Give Me a Light" and "Think of This," which I can't see on YouTube right now. But those, honestly, I didn't have an issue with those songs. I just had Pretty Good with Rema, which I didn't listen to at all, but I forgot to mention that. I didn't listen to Carmen Pretty Girl, to be honest. Um, but she also, I mean, those two songs in particular, kind of, I think they got people wondering, like, okay, like, I don't see people were tired of her because it was too early to be tired of her. She just popped off with Deli and Munch, right? So that happened, but honestly, the songs weren't bad in my opinion. But I think what really did it for her, I think people were just looking for reason to hate. Honestly, I think people were just looking for reason to bring this girl down because, gosh, say what you will, but you know, it's difficult, man. All I can say is that when it came to Y2K dropping her album and did it first, dropping in that whole the pre-drop, the whole shenanigans that was going on with Central C. Central C, by the way, is another drill rapper from the UK. That you haven't heard of him, then don't know where you've been, shoddy. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But he's a UK drill rapper as well, so those two teaming up was definitely just like a natural thing to happen at some point. Um, he had his most famous hit, I think, with Doja, and then with Dave on the single, or really the single, Sprinter, which is a big hit. I love the song a lot. I really liked it. It was definitely one of the first UK hits, drill hits that I haven't listened to UK drill as much as I used to, but one of the first songs since the Junior Troy, Sam Tompkins song, To the Moon, that I really enjoyed actually a lot. But back to the Ice Spice, there was some drama before, after her Cash Cobain remix on Fisher, she teamed up with Central C, and there was a whole thing about his girlfriend, Madeline RG. I'm not gonna get into all that. If you want to get into that, you can Google that or YouTube it. YouTube it. I don't know, but you can look into it some more. But for me, or for most people, not for me. I'm gonna be outside of this whole conversation. For most people, though, it was definitely one of those things that kind of put Ice Spice in a bad light to them. They thought that she was kind of like not a girl's girl in many people's opinion, and she had a lot of female support, if not more. I mean, I don't even know the ratio of our female fans to male fans, to be honest, but it seemed like for a while it's been steady, but female fan base definitely had some issues with her after that incident. And the whole idea of like cheating rumors and all that was going on. If you want to get the breakdown, you can look at it later. And then, funny enough, Central C didn't lose any respect from anybody, so he was fine with that. And everyone kind of moved on after a while, but I feel like Ice Spice had a reputation a little bit hit from that. And honestly, looking back, it's like, yeah, she had some more collabs with Travis and Gunna and what have you. Those were quite forgettable in my opinion, but just the whole idea of advocating kind of like a love story, I guess, it shouldn't have gone that out of stretch, but it did because apparently the girl in question didn't even know this was happening. So that was tricky, let me admit. I don't know even the full details of myself, what happened. What I do know is that it definitely affected Ice in her career. And to this day, I think she's still trying to recover. I mean, she has a new boyfriend now. I keep seeing them around. But in terms of the hype up and, that whole getting ready, I don't know. Like, the ball dropped. She did have an unreleased song by the name of, I think it was, well, actually, it was an unreleased track that came out and it was looped. But again, actually, because she lost weight and she lost fat in her butt, I guess, and people are upset about it. So they've kind of not gone to her concerts, her shows, or I don't know if she's touring, but they definitely seen her Spotify numbers gone down. Streams, I mean, I don't know. You can never win in this society. People are like, I don't think anyone asked her to lose weight, but she wanted to for herself. She lost the weight, and now she's gonna get it back now. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I don't even know where to begin. But that's off topic. The last recent song that she did release for sure was Hannah Montana with the Baby and Ellie Choppa. That came out, I want to say, like in January of this year. And so far, it's been okay. I think that when we talk about female drill, we talk about how it's really underground for the most part. Besides Ice Spice, who everyone thinks is the female drill girly of all time, there are so many other artists out there, and I know I spent like 10 minutes talking about 15 minutes talking about Ice Spice. I didn't really plan on that. But there also is a lot of people who go ahead and, not a lot of people, but a lot of girls who are underground and that are making music still and have been making music, might I add. People like Murda B, as example. She is someone who blew off of Naughty Gain What. Another diss at Naughty Osama. Never gets tired. But she did that, and she had a big year in 2023 apparently because she was releasing a lot of stuff at that point. I think it was like everyone's big year, not gonna lie, because like it was a big year for Ice Spice, a big year for 41. A lot of drill rappers, even such as Sia argue, even across the sea, across the ocean, it was a lot of people that Sia did there across the sea. But across the ocean, you can see a lot of people going ahead and doing that stuff. And I think it's really interesting to see how um, drill transcends like continents in a way, and states. I think that's pretty cool. It just like identifies what rap is. With Murder B, she had a song, a lot of songs. I'm not gonna admit, I like her music. I do like Spin Spin, D&D, Dump It. She has a collab with Shawnee Bonnie, another musical artist who's really good. Love Casamigos by her, one of my favorite songs. And she also is known for her freestyle on the radio. A lot of these girls are known for their freestyles as well. And honestly, there's just so many songs that she has. But I think those are kind of the top ones, top tier ones. And Oh Nah is another song that I like too. That's definitely. And this girl, I think she's with Bam. I mean, there's always, when you talk about female drills, always like, okay, but who they know, who they dating. And I think she had a baby with Bam Drill, who is from Newark, Jersey, just like MC Vert is from Jersey. But I Am Newark is Mr. Ben Real. Yeah, I don't know how to say his name, I'm sorry. Ben Man Real? But anyway, I don't know if they're together anymore. But the other person that's one of her oppositions or ops sounds like another person I might know of, Rella Jeezy. I don't really know what gang Murder is part of. I know it's something. I just don't know exactly what it is. I've never understood what gang she raps. She does songs with the Cha Cha. But her biggest op probably has to be Rella Jeezy. Rella Jeezy being a part of the Jeezy, Shy Jeezy, Nesty Jeezy, Muse Jeezy. All a bunch of artists from the same gang. And that isn't to say about the same, but they're all very much very different and different, like they bring different energy for like, but I would say almost like sweepers where like you can kind of tell, okay, this is 41, this is sweepers, this is just by hearing them, you know what I mean? And that's not like to, you can just definitely just tell. I mean, it's like it's identifiable for sure. But if you probably heard of Bubba X100, he's also a big streamer. And there was an era when we used to have I don't know if they still do it, but an era when they used to have people go ahead and come in the booth and in the cars, and they would go ahead and just like start drama and bring it up or some bring it up. Yeah, sure. Or dare somebody to sound someone's lap or kiss. I don't even know. I had a friend in college who was part of that and who did those kind of YouTube, filmed those kind of videos. No idea if those videos still exist. I mean, they exist on YouTube. I don't know if they're still being made. So that was like a whole thing that happened. That was a whole era. One of those people was Booba 1100, whatever his name is. But his name is Booba. Let's just call him that. And he's Rella Jeezy's boyfriend, last time I knew. And they're very much a romantic couple. Rella Jeezy is known for Gangsta Barbie, one of her biggest songs. Definitely by far. Which has a lot of other good, really good sleeper hits as well. So it seems like Murda and Rella had beef since Murda dropped Introduction. I don't even know. That's on part of the map too. But then you have people like Mike Kenzo, who's part of 41, left the group and is now doing her own solo thing. I like her songs. I love her energy. I love PSA. That's a really hard haze. And like I say that because like she commands attention. She's really brutal, cutthroat, and you get what she's saying immediately. And I wish her luck in her career, because, like, that girl, I hope that leaving the group didn't slow her pace down, but I kind of get the inkling that it did, because look at 41 now, and where she is, it's not, like, a bad spot, but she's still, like, an underground artist, and so are all these girls, you know what I mean? So it's kind of, like, it's a little, life isn't fair, it's a little unfair that, people like Ice Spice, maybe they get their accolades and attention, but you have other girls, too, that are working just as hard, and they don't really get as much support and acknowledgement either, so that's life, isn't it? I think my Kenza really shone on the, what's it called? 41 Bop, the first one. And that's where she was on. And that she was very impressive at the end. Like, she was super, like, Ray just, you know what I mean? Like, she just wanted to get it out. She was mad. And then, like, also, like, the Doomsday, Stop Capping, and also, like, Shani Bonnie. Shani Bonnie has good songs, by the way. Addressing is another one, but also her other freestyle with Doomsday. And I also just thinking of someone like Kenzo B, who is known for songs like Dead Game, which is a big song. For her, I think that spawned a reaction from Shawnee and Murdo, who teamed up together to make their own song, and that was this like Beach Boys, I guess, sample, Black Eyed Peas sampled song. I'm not even really sure what it was. It's called Dump It. And she also had BFFR, which means B for real. And that was a song that honestly didn't give me a giveaway, like a drill vibe. I just thought of it as like, and it wasn't like it was past that drill era either. Like it was made maybe like the last 2 years, but it didn't give me that whole vibe of like, I guess she was going somewhere else. And she had George B. Ford shoot her. Same person that shot for Ice Spice and the Munch videos, or early music videos. And a lot of drill songs are being shot by KLL Visions and stuff like that, so, and other people. So it was a trip with the producers, the cameraman, and I don't know, just about the background characters too. Obviously, you'll see the people coming up again and again. That's what I've noticed. We also have Maya V. There's two Mayas, and I know there's two people whose name ends with B or V, whatever. But I like Keep It P and I like Glitch from her. I think she has good songs, just needs a little better production. And that's only because with Keep It P, like I didn't really Keep It a P. I didn't really hear. It sounded so muted, like it sounded so like low, and that wasn't because of her voice. But I think otherwise, she just needs to keep getting more music out there. That's it. Period. But of course, like I said before, there's so many female artists out there. Mama Too Sneaky's another one. I love Asian The Brat as well. Her freestyles are pretty good. Her one mic is good. Check out Murda B's one mic when she's pregnant. She's literally rapping her womb off or whatever you want to call it. Like she's going at it. And someone I really just do like a lot is actually Zeffy Lee. I think that's a girl that I see doing a lot in the future. So I was first introduced to Zeffy Lee through the One Mic Freestyle, and it was just accident because I was watching a pregnant Murda B rapping for a hot minute, for like 3 good minutes. And then I saw below it said a recommendation for Zeffy Lee. And I really think that Zeffy Lee is the person that embodies the future. She may not have a lot of subs and a lot of, viewers right now at the moment, but I think it's really substance over anything else. I think it's quality over quantity. And I think numbers don't have to play a part when you're still an up-and-coming artist. As you get cemented in your career, though, they do. Naturally, just like any sport, any athletic, any business venture, whatever, or any financial aspiration. I found that she's been making a lot of good songs, and some of them being like Metro's are my favorite. I really, really, really love that song. She has a new song called Bigger, but if you look at her older stuff, like the freestyle that she had, among so many others, and now she's having songs like Net Spend. I like those beats actually. I just like how they're kind of experimental. They're kind of like sci-fi, kind of give me kind of the same vibes as like something futuristic in a way, and I enjoy that a lot actually. I also wanted to say that I really like Net Spend a lot because it kind of talks about like a toxic relationship and like a heartbreak theme where it's like you love the guy, you can't go away from him, but you keep going back to him, and it's just kind of like, I mean, whether you're a guy or you're a girl, you probably identify with that feeling. I'm just like, I want to leave, but my heart tells me don't, my mind tells me do, and it's just like this chaotic, turbulent, like affair of the heart, and it's just like you can't get out of it. It's like the first time I heard a drill son be so vulnerable and kind of like the naivety of like growing up and just as the first time I heard someone be like as honest as being honest in K Flock's record. And honestly, those two songs are songs that I really like from the DOA tape and the DOA tape Care Package. Those two good albums, and it just shows for me like that vulnerability is kind of like shed in a way. Another song I also wanted to say that I really also like was 4100 Open Mic. I know they did that. There's a bunch of different ones. There's From the Block, there's Who Run to NYC, but I love their one mic performance because that to me encapsulated what drill is. And you had Ja Woo, you had Jen and you had Kyle, but you also had like just this amazing mesh of like energy and vibrancy. I don't know if that's a word, but like this cohesion together, and it really just fit and worked together. And last thing I'll add too is one of the songs that really put me on is definitely was her collaboration with EBK Choppa. It was called just like the Jay-Z and Beyonce track. It was called Bonnie and Clyde. You know, notion to Bonnie and Clyde, the thieves themselves. And you know, honestly, I just love that song. It just goes so hard, and the male and the female collabs, we need more of those. I mean, the only one I'm seeing doing that, or I have seen doing that, is Murda. But I just need more of that because that stuff is so good. Like if you have a girl and a guy collabing on a song together, you know it's gonna be alright. You just already know. Like it's just that good. S&D is pretty good, and then her latest song, one of my latest songs, is with Mandrill. It's called 1942. But I think Metro and her freestyle really caps it for me, what kind of artist she is. She can rap quick, she can have a great flow, great delivery. I think she gets really good reception. I mean, I'm a fan of hers for sure, and I feel like for me, I do want to go ahead and end this video and know of like what is the future of drill, and I think that the future of drill requires an adjustment. Not to say drill is a dead genre, not to say drill is completely gonna die within this year 2025, but I think that there has to be some room for growth. Even though it's not that I didn't like BFFR by Kenza B, I was not a fan of it, but it isn't a drill song. It came out 2 years ago. But Kenza B is kind of looking ahead, and some artists need to look ahead and see that, you know what, the future is changing. Drill won't be the same as it was before. We had Bronx, Brooklyn drill, we had different sounds, different boroughs, and even people from Queens kind of hopping in and everything like that, chip chopping and everything like that. There's so much promise, and knowing that these talents are so young and they have their whole lives ahead of them, just like I am. But knowing that some of them started even younger than me, even, and not yet starting younger, but have been going in this industry for so long, there is no limit to the potential. Sugar Hill, Naughty, 41, the girlies that I mentioned, the Kenzos, the Mayas, everyone, Murda. There's still a redemption arc at the end of this. There's still a chance to go back. Now, some of them, knowing their history and knowing their sound, I would say more than others can adapt. I say 41's high up on there. Zippy is high up on there in terms of I'm seeing them adapt to the social, not social changes, but just like the music changes already. And I think that as you go further and further in this music industry, as they go further in the industry, they'll understand like this is what's changed. I don't want to say this is necessarily the end of the drill, but what I will say is that life requires constant readjustment, and in music, that's no bigger fact than ever before. If you look at the SoundCloud era, if you look at people like Playboy, if you look at even Uzi with the pink tape, say what you will, but these people have managed to find their own sound. Uzi with that kind of Jersey club, kind of like rocking your hips thing that he was doing on his tracks, like I Just Wanna Rock, and then you have Playboy with I Am Music, his name release, Red, Whole Lotta Red. I love those albums, by the way. Oh my gosh, I can list all the songs right now. I'm not going to. But anyway, the main thing I see that separates these artists is just their individuality, for one, their individuality, but also the fact that they go ahead and they define their careers by themselves. They don't depend on someone to tell them, oh, this is the next trend, this is what's going to happen in 2032, and I don't know when it's going to happen, but this is going to be the next big thing. No one's going to do that for you. You have to go ahead and read the trends yourself, see where it's going, and I fear and I think a lot of drill artists will get stuck in just drill, and it's being a dying genre. I'm just concerned that that will be where people get stuck, and then they'll complain and be like, "Oh my God, I was left behind." And obviously, some of these people have money, but some don't have some of them don't have deals and labels right now. You know, some of them, we talk about a lot of underground people, and right now, I just don't see the genre doing the moves it used to make back in like 2023, 2021. I think the peak era, if I had to conclude right now, would be 2021 to 2020. Yeah, late 23, I would say. 2024, there was that's when you kind of noticed that there was drill. People kind of were getting really just AWOL for a good minute. People were going to prison, and they always were, but they got caught. And then you have people also going ahead and like getting pregnant. A lot of the girls did, and you also have people who got ahead and unfortunately got killed. And I think that's when we saw a lot of people just like they kind of slowed down, and it's just ironic how the death of drill really will be just like the fact that people really like wrote and meant what they said when they wrote in their raps. But I think with New York, the whole idea is like you live by the sword, you die by the sword. This is like a lifestyle. This is actually like for real. This is not like playing around. A lot of people get confused and think that drill is like just a genre. It really is the street life. It really is New York. If I had to wrap this video up with one thing, it'd be like, this is music for some people, but for some people it's reality. For some people it's just like everyday life, like the streets, the drugs, the violence. It's just the way of living. That can be for whatever reason, but there's a lot of people that deal with a lot of things from growing up. And maybe they turn to things they don't want to turn to, but I'm not giving them a pass or anything like that, but life will do it to you. Life will do it to you. And I think people need to realize that this is just about the music, it's just about how people live. And the lifestyle won't change, but the genre might go in a different direction. We'll see what happens. So I want to remain optimistic, but I also want to remind people that this is just like how the industry is so cutthroat and brutal. But the industry, I'm gonna remember that this isn't just a game. This is just like everyday living, and that's really it. I don't want to speak on it too much. People like Ida, I'm assuming there was a lot going on. You may look at someone and be like, "Oh, you're a rapper. You living a life. Like you got bands, everything like that." And some of the stuff is props, man. So I think I understand that like it's tough out here. And growing up in New York City, let me tell you right now, um, it is a lot. It's a lot, and it's not for the faint of heart. Like Jay-Z said, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. That Frank Sinatra. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Um, our New York icons told us that if you can make it in this city, then you can make it anywhere else in the city. And if you can survive it here, you can survive anywhere else. And that's kind of true. Um, and I think it still rings true up today. And people like even like Nadi Osama, like the kid died at 14, and it was merciless. But you know, it's interesting how this isn't a case of I'm gonna go in the booth, rap for a minute, and then live a whole fancy life with my car and my daughter. You go back into the streets immediately after you leave that booth. You go straight into the streets, and what's playing up here, and the lyrics and everything, and the words and whatever it may be, and the thoughts, it's gonna eventually take place outside. So I would say it's definitely live by the sword, die by the sword. 101. And these aren't sadistic people though. These are kids. That's what I'm saying. But like because of the culture and because of the environment, like that's all there is. I mean, to be cool, to be in, to fit in, it's so hard to see when you're in New York City. But when you have your friends around you, when you have your gang around you, and like that, you can make it up, and you can be that reinvented person. And the thing is, these kids are dying, and they're being put in prison blocks right now as we speak because of just the fact that they're living what they actually like write about, and that's something that until it gets addressed, I think this genre has no way of surviving because where will they go? Everyone is headed toward the same pipeline of death or prison, and personally, that's nowhere for a kid's future to end up. Nowhere. Not to be in Rikers somewhere and locked up for like who knows how many months or years. But it happens so often. So that's one thing I want to say is like that will be the downfall of drill. That will be the ultimate downfall of drill because in the end we've lost so many people through this, music and through the lifestyle that exhibits it. And naturally we're left with nobody at the end. And the people who are there are so few and they're all, like I said before, kind of like moving on in a way and starting their own families, some of them as well. And good for them for doing that. I'm not gonna lie, like that's a kind of good thing to leave the street life behind and just say I'm wrapping it up. And they're young, but like at that point it becomes like what are you gonna do? And I think that's left to the question for a lot of people going forward. It's like in show, like what are we gonna do? A lot of droppers now are left with and those who've achieved success, especially the girls, I feel like they're turning more to this up with the question of should I go and become like a homebody, which a lot of girls are doing and stay at home and be a wife or a mother? Or should I go ahead, and a lot of the guys are doing this, obviously. I mean, what's surprising about this? And just keep going out with the lifestyle, but I think a lot of the guys, like, get to the point where, I mean, they could all catch up with you eventually, you know what I mean? I don't want to, like, put a warning out there, but, like, we've seen it before, and I think a lot of them, I don't know, I think when you get to that pinnacle of, like, fame, like 41 has, you want to put the streets behind you and just focus on music, you know what I mean? But the streets can always pull you back in. So my thing will be to be cautious of that, kind of like make sure that doesn't come true because people can get pulled into the streets, and that's what does it. I would say take your money, invest in crypto. No, don't actually do that. Don't don't burn your money like that. But kind of like not be complicit or content because I hate those words. I would never advocate for that. But definitely just like go ahead and be like, okay, like get yourself a house, get your mama a house, and like never settle. But kind of be like, okay, the streets are behind me, period. And I have to go back to that because I done made it. And that's what we're all looking for in the end. I think we're all looking for that pinnacle of success to be like, you know what? I made it, I done did it, and I'm not looking back ever again. Pandemic was actually 5 years ago, if you can imagine that. It was a whole half decade ago. We're as far away from 2020 as 2015 was 2020. So now looking up, we'll see what's going to happen in the future, but I think change is required and adjustment is required. It's music after all. It's a ruthless industry, but if you love it and what you want to do with it, what I tell all these artists, just do it. I wasn't sponsored by Nike, by the way, but hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you all for taking this time to watch a 1 hour video that I've carefully created. I've taken a lot of time, and I've actually enjoyed this a lot. So if you want more videos like this, let me know. Comment down below. If you're from New York, let me know. We can always go ahead and talk. And yeah, I'm up in Harlem. Bye. Peace. Oh, and the last song I recommend for you guys to listen to before you leave is Auntie Sneaky, Maya V, and Arla Jeezy songs, Triple Threat. That's the last song, you guys. And I've mentioned so many of them. If you have any song recommendations, also let me know as well. Link them down below. And see you guys later. Peace.